You may think your cat just wandered into your life. But what if it didn't? What if that soft paw on your lap is the echo of an ancient agreement one forged long before either of you were born? According to Edgar Cayce, the legendary American mystic known as the sleeping prophet being chosen by a cat is no accident. It is a calling. In his more than 14,000 psychic readings, Cayce repeatedly returned to one powerful truth: animals, and especially cats, play roles far deeper than we understand. They are not just companions, but cosmic collaborators. And when a cat picks you, it isn't simply looking for food or shelter. It's responding to something invisible, but unmistakable: your energy. To Cayce, cats possess a rare kind of perception. A perception that pierces the veil between the seen and the unseen. They sense what we can't. They know what we've forgotten. And they act not on instinct alone, but on intention, on recognition. It starts with a moment. A cat appears perhaps from nowhere. Maybe it lingers at your doorstep, circles your feet, locks eyes with you in a way that feels deeper than it should. And in that quiet moment, something ancient stirs. Cayce believed that this wasn't coincidence, it was alignment, that a cat's arrival signals more than a chance meeting. It is the crossing of soul paths. He explained it this way: cats are drawn to humans whose energy they can help balance or heal, not because the human is broken, but because something inside them is ready for transformation, ready for awakening. Reading after reading, Cayce revealed that cats are spiritual barometers sensitive to vibrational shifts, tuned to frequencies we cannot consciously access. They sense discord. They feel emotional storms long before we notice the clouds. And when they choose us, it is with a purpose far beyond pet and owner. It's a soul-to-soul resonance. One reading described the cat as the most psychic of all animals. It lives partly in this world and partly in others. It sees energy fields. It recognizes spiritual entities. It knows who you are, not just your name, but your essence, your imprint in the invisible world. Cayce referred to the cat's ability as a kind of spiritual radar, a tuning fork for energies that most of us have long since dulled ourselves to. When a cat locks eyes with you and refuses to look away, it's not just curiosity, it's recognition. And when it stays, it's not simply comfort it offers, it's alchemy. So the next time a cat chooses you, pauses in your presence as if remembering something long forgotten, and settles in as though returning home, it just might be. Because to Cayce, there are no coincidences in the soul's journey, and a cat's companionship is never ordinary. It is a meeting of frequencies. It is the beginning of healing. It is a choice made long before either of you knew why. In the tapestry of creation, Edgar Cayce believed cats are woven with threads from multiple realms. They don't merely walk this earth, they glide between dimensions. The cat, Cayce declared, in reading 25471, is the most psychic of all animals. Not just sensitive, psychic. They perceive what we do not. They dwell, in part, in places we cannot see, worlds made of vibration, colorless currents of energy, and unseen tides of spiritual influence. To the casual observer, a cat's sudden alertness or silent vigil at an empty corner may seem like nothing. But to Cayce, it is everything. It's the visible reaction to an invisible presence, a fluctuation in energy, the stirring of a guide, the echo of another reality brushing against ours. Cats, he explained, possess what could be called multi-dimensional awareness. They move through physical space with effortless grace, yet their attention is constantly scanning for frequencies that hum beneath the surface, energies that ripple through the room like soundless music. frequencies that most of us have long since forgotten how to hear. Their senses are tuned to what Cayce described as the superconscious realm, a higher dimension where soul and spirit communicate in vibration and intent, rather than words. A cat can feel when your energy begins to shift, when grief begins to bloom silently inside you, before the tears come, when fear curls around your thoughts. Before you even know its name, it knows, and it responds. This perception isn't just metaphysical poetry. In reading after reading, Cayce insisted it was a very real sensitivity to the structure of reality itself. Cats, he said, see beyond the veil. They can detect what he called energetic fields, subtle, radiant layers surrounding every human being. These fields are the scaffolding of our emotional, physical, and spiritual health. And when those fields go out of balance, the cat feels it. Their response is subtle, yet deliberate. A slow walk across the bed to lie near your chest. A warm body curling up beside you when insomnia keeps you in darkness. The gentle press of their side against a place in your body you didn't realize was hurting. It's not random. It's response, healing, alignment. Their eyes, those ancient, watchful pools, aren't just passive windows. They are instruments of perception, scanning for what lies beneath. Cayce believed that cats could see spiritual entities and energy forms beyond our range, and when they fix their gaze on what appears to be nothing, it may be a presence stepping into your space, quietly acknowledged by your feline companion long before your own soul catches the whisper. He even described how cats can detect compatible energy signatures, recognizing humans whose inner frequencies mirror or require their own. In this way, a cat's selection is not just about affection, it's attunement, a vibrational match, chosen for healing, growth, or spiritual partnership. This explains the cat's uncanny sense of timing the way they arrive when we are on the verge of change. Many people report that a cat appeared in their life precisely during a time of upheaval, the loss of a loved one, the start of a spiritual practice, a crossroads of the heart. According to Cayce, this isn't random, it's resonance, and resonance is the key. Because when a cat's energy field encounters a human whose soul is rippling with imbalance, or whose spirit is waking up to a deeper truth, a signal is sent, an invitation is received, and the cat answers it, silently, with a paw step, with a look, with a quiet decision to stay. To Cayce, these moments are not mundane. They are sacred. In one profound reading, he spoke of a woman who had recently lost her husband. Grief had hollowed out her days and left her soul vibrating with sorrow. A cat appeared uninvited, persistent. It wouldn't leave her doorstep. When she turned to Cayce for insight, he revealed the truth the cat had been drawn to the energetic vacuum left by her grief. It was there to help, to offer balance, to lend a frequency that could knit her broken field back into harmony. This is the mystery. This is the miracle. A creature small and silent, who understands not just who you are, but who you're becoming, who walks beside you as both animal and emissary, who sees what you are only beginning to feel, and who chooses you not for what you offer, but for what your soul requires, because some guardians do not wear wings. Some arrive with whiskers. Long before Edgar Cayce gave voice to the spiritual mysteries of cats, civilizations across the world had already intuited the same profound truth. Cats are not ordinary creatures. They are sacred, they are sentinels, they are something more. In the shadowed temples of ancient Egypt, this reverence was carved in stone. The Egyptians did not merely admire cats, they deified them. At the heart of this veneration stood Bastet, the feline goddess of protection, fertility, and motherhood. She was more than a divine symbol, she was a bridge between the living and the dead. In every statue with almond-shaped eyes and poised grace, in every shrine flickering with the scent of oil and myrrh. Bastet watched over her people not as a myth, but as a presence. In those sacred halls, the death of a family cat was not taken lightly. It was marked by mourning so deep that family members would shave their eyebrows in grief, entering a ritual period of loss and respect. Cats were mummified with the same reverence afforded to human royalty. Thousands have been unearthed, perfectly preserved, laid to rest in necropolises dedicated entirely to their kind. These were not pets. They were spiritual kin. To the Egyptians, cats stood at the threshold between realms, and they guarded that passage. Across the seas and centuries, the Japanese, too, recognized this mystery. In their folklore, cats were protectors, beings with the power to transform into human form, to ward off evil, to defend the homes of those they loved. The Maneki Neko, that familiar figure with one paw raised in eternal greeting, is not a trinket. It is a talisman, a beckoning guardian that invites prosperity. Yes, but also wards away malevolent spirits, watching unseen doors that even humans dare not name. Legends whisper of cats standing vigil outside children's rooms, of cats appearing in dreams before disasters, of silent feline protectors guiding lost travelers back to their path. The stories aren't fanciful, they are intuitive, instinctual, a cultural memory embedded in myth. In Celtic lands, cloaked in fog and forest, cats were seen as keepers of the in-between. They were tied to the otherworld, the realm of spirits, fae, and fate. To the Celts, cats were not just animals. They were guardians of secrets, capable of slipping through the thin veils that separated this life from the next. The goddess Teridwen, the keeper of transformation and magic, was often depicted with cats by her side, silent, watchful, otherworldly. Each culture, separated by oceans and time, arrived at the same conclusion: cats move through mystery. And in that movement, they serve. Cayce's revelations did not invent this idea. They refined it. They gave it language modern minds could grasp. He described what the ancients felt. He articulated the purpose behind the pattern. In his readings, he often returned to one essential truth. Cats don't simply observe, they remember, across lifetimes, across forms. Unlike most humans, they carry the continuity of soul memory. They don't just sense your energy, they recognize it. You, the one who once lived beneath desert stars. You, the one who whispered prayers at the shrine. You, the one who once held them, named them, cherished them, in another place, another age. It is why sometimes, when a cat looks at you, you feel something stir, something both intimate and strange, a recognition without explanation, a familiarity deeper than memory. These echoes, Cayce said, are not fantasies. They are fragments of soul truth rising through the noise of daily life. And when you meet that cat, you're not forging a bond. You're remembering one. Because in this world, as in all others, cats are still watching, still guarding, still choosing, and they always remember who you are. To Edgar Cayce, the bond between a cat and a human wasn't forged in a single lifetime. It was remembered, reawakened. When a cat is drawn to you, it may be sensing something far older than this moment. This house, this version of you, it may be recalling a soul it once knew, long before time had a name. In reading 36451, Cayce made a bold and stirring claim. An animal, especially one of higher intelligence such as a cat, retains conscious connection to their soul experiences across lifetimes. While humans forget wrapped in the veil of amnesia that cloaks each new incarnation, cats remember. Not in stories or symbols, but in vibration, energy, instinct. Their recognition is not analytical, it's cellular, spiritual. So when a cat appears suddenly, uninvited yet insistent, circling your ankles, peering through your window, refusing to leave your doorstep, it is often not a first meeting. It is a reunion. Imagine this: a cat shows up at your door on a gray morning, drenched in rain, eyes sharp and quiet. You take it in. It stays. And within days, you feel calmer, more seen. As if something within you that had been out of place for years suddenly shifted back into alignment. That comfort, that depth, isn't about the present. It's about what your soul already knows that this being has walked beside you before. Cayce explained that the souls of humans and animals can become entangled across lifetimes, woven into one another's spiritual evolution. Sometimes, these soul partnerships are soft companionship, healing, trust. Other times, they are catalytic, awakening something long buried, surfacing pain that must be healed, or guiding a person toward a crossroads they wouldn't have reached alone. In his readings, Cayce described how a cat may be drawn not just to your home, but to your soul's unfinished story. Perhaps it helped you once, in a distant past. Perhaps you made a vow, together, to find each other again at a time of need. Perhaps, lifetimes ago, you were lost literally or emotionally, and that soul, in feline form, stood by your side. Now it returns. Same essence, new fur. One striking case Cayce recounted involved a woman who had no particular affinity for cats. Yet when a stray showed up, she felt something she couldn't explain, as if she knew it. The cat followed her everywhere, slept near her head, stared into her eyes for long minutes. She began to dream vividly memories of deserts, stars, and temple corridors. Through Cayce, she came to understand that the cat had served as her spiritual companion in a life thousands of years prior. Its arrival now wasn't about comfort. It was about awakening a part of her that had been dormant for lifetimes. These soul recognitions can manifest subtly. A deep, unspoken connection, a feeling of familiarity, a shared rhythm. It's not unusual for people to report moments of telepathic understanding with their cats, knowing what the animal wants before it asks, sensing its mood, even hearing its voice in dreams. Cayce believed this was part of a phenomenon he called the superconscious, a level of awareness that transcends words and logic, allowing soul-level communication to pass between beings without the need for speech. Or cats, in this view, become translators of the soul's language. They respond not to your words, but to your inner vibrations. And when you shift, when grief spreads, or joy begins to blossom, they feel it. They adjust. They hold space. They remember. Cayce also described how these relationships unfold over time, often beginning subtly and growing deeper as the energies between the cat and human harmonize. It's not just a bond, it's a pattern, one that was formed long ago and continues to weave through each new incarnation like a golden thread, reconnecting the souls in precisely the moment they need one another most. But soul recognition is not always light. Sometimes it stirs what is hidden. Some cats arrive not simply to love, but to challenge, to mirror back emotions the human has refused to face, to act as catalysts for growth. A cat may reflect a person's unresolved grief, their spiritual hunger, or their inner conflict. And in that reflection lies the chance for transformation. This is why, according to Cayce, some people feel deeply shaken by a cat's gaze, not frightened, but exposed. It's as if the cat sees something you've kept hidden, even from yourself. And it does. It sees your soul, not the version the world knows, but the truth you carry quietly. These encounters aren't accidental. They're orchestrated by your higher self, by the universal intelligence that guides us, by the sacred agreements made long before you drew your first breath. When a cat chooses you, it is often answering that ancient call, and sometimes, the moment its paw steps into your home, you feel it, the shift, the knowing, the return, because in the language of the soul, there is no such thing as a stranger. They curl beside us in silence, their purring soft and rhythmic like a distant lullaby. But beneath their stillness lies a power few truly understand. According to Edgar Cayce, cats are more than affectionate companions, they are natural energy healers, drawn to where their frequency can do the most good. Their bodies are instruments, their presence medicinal, their purring an invisible balm for human wounds. Healing, in Cayce's view, was never just physical. It was energetic, emotional, and spiritual. And cats, he insisted, are attuned to all three. Their healing operates on layers that modern science is only beginning to glimpse. They do not diagnose, they feel. They do not treat, they attune. Their gift is one of resonance. Cayce often spoke of a mysterious field that surrounds every living being, the etheric body. This field is the energetic template that underlies the physical form, like a blueprint humming with life force. When it's disrupted by stress, by trauma, by illness, the body suffers. But cats, with their uncanny perception, can detect these disruptions before they become visible or diagnosable, one of their most potent healing tools. Their purr, modern science now confirms what Cayce knew decades ago. A cat's purr vibrates between 25 and 150 hertz, precisely the frequency range shown to stimulate healing in bones, muscles, and connective tissues. These frequencies promote cellular regeneration, reduce inflammation, and encourage the release of endorphins. But for Cayce, the purr did far more than that. It was a sonic current that harmonized discordant energy in the human system. It recalibrated. It cleared static. It soothed the chaos that lives just beneath our skin. He described how cats often gravitate to areas of the body where energy is blocked or imbalanced, curling on a sore hip, pressing against a distressed stomach, lying on the chest of someone whose heart aches. This isn't mere comfort, it's instinctual healing. The cat positions itself precisely where it's needed, purring in resonance until the blockage begins to loosen and flow resumes. In reading 15.6.21, Cayce explained that the vibrations from a cat's purr directly influence the human nervous system and endocrine glands. These are the body's control centers, the regulators of stress, emotion, immunity, and growth. When a cat purrs beside you, your nervous system begins to synchronize with its rhythm. Your stress levels drop, your thoughts slow, your breath deepens. It's not just soothing, it's entrainment. Your body aligning itself with the steady pulse of feline energy, and the healing doesn't stop there. Cayce believed cats emit electromagnetic charges through their fur. These subtle fields help dissipate energetic static in the human aura. The act of petting a cat isn't simply tactile, it's therapeutic. As your hand moves over their body, an energetic circuit completes. You release tension. They absorb it, filter it, transform it. He likened this to a form of energetic filtration. The cat takes in discordant frequencies and transmutes them, cleansing the environment and the person through simple proximity. That may be why so many people with chronic pain or autoimmune issues report improvement after living with a cat. It's not placebo, it's partnership. A steady exchange of energy, where the cat serves as both conduit and transformer. Cayce often cited real-life examples to illustrate this phenomenon. One of the most poignant involved Oscar, a therapy cat in a Rhode Island nursing home. Oscar gained national attention for his ability to sense when patients were near death. Without fail, he would enter their rooms, curl up beside them, and stay until they passed. His presence was so reliable that staff began to notify families the moment Oscar appeared. Cayce would have explained this not as coincidence or training, but as a response to a subtle energetic shift, the weakening of the life force field as it prepared for departure. Oscar felt it, and he stayed to offer peace. Other stories abound, cats persistently pawing at a particular spot on their owner's body, only for doctors to later discover a tumor. Cats avoiding one side of the body entirely until that side is diagnosed with nerve pain or inflammation. These aren't isolated incidents. They are windows into the quiet, intuitive science of the soul. But even beyond crisis, cats offer continuous care. For those who suffer from lingering conditions, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, emotional exhaustion, cats act like energetic custodians. They monitor, they adjust, they anchor. Even as they nap in the corner, they are attuned. And when the moment arises, they move to where they're needed. Cayce believed that their healing influence extends into the emotional and spiritual spheres as well. Their presence doesn't just ease pain, it restores coherence. People feel calmer, more stable, more connected to something deeper when a cat is near. That's because the cat's energy field is often more grounded, more harmonious than our own. And in their presence, our own fields begin to sink. The fear softens, the grief settles, the scattered thoughts pull into center. This is the miracle of feline medicine. It doesn't come in bottles. It comes in quietude, in purring, in presence. They don't heal us with effort. They heal us by being exactly what they are. There is something extraordinary about the way a cat responds to sorrow. Not with panic, not with questions, but with presence. When words fail, when even you can't explain the heaviness inside you, the cat simply knows. It climbs onto your lap. It leans into your stillness. It becomes a silent sentinel beside your breaking heart. Edgar Cayce saw in this behavior not coincidence, but purpose. Cats, he believed, are emotional guardians drawn not only to pain, but to the subtle signatures it leaves in our energy field. In times of grief, depression, or emotional trauma, cats arrive like whispering healers, and they stay not out of obligation, but out of knowing, out of soul recognition. In reading 14382, Cayce wrote, "Cats are drawn to emotional wounds, like moths to a flame, not to exploit vulnerability, but to help repair tears in the emotional body. That body," he explained, "is one of several subtle energy fields surrounding each of us, layered like veils over the physical form. The emotional body carries imprints of joy, of sorrow, of trauma, and when it's damaged or out of balance, it creates what Cayce called energy vacuum spaces, where vital life force leaks or becomes stagnant. Cats feel this. They feel it before the tears fall, before the anxiety surfaces, before the despair speaks." In one profound reading, Cayce counseled a grieving widow whose husband had recently died. She mentioned a stray cat that had appeared soon after his passing and refused to leave. She hadn't given it much thought. Cayce, however, offered a startling explanation the cat had been drawn to her by the vacancy in her emotional field. Not for food, not for shelter, but because something in her energy had called out a silent frequency of loss, and the cat had answered. It had come to help seal the wound, to rebalance what grief had fractured. This, Cayce said, is not rare, it is deeply common. Many cats are called into people's lives precisely when the emotional field is raw and open, when the psyche is most vulnerable, and the soul most ready to begin healing. The cat doesn't fix what's broken. It holds space for what needs to mend. It becomes, simply by being near, a vessel of coherence. Modern science, unknowingly, has begun to validate this. Studies have shown that petting a cat can reduce cortisol, the stress hormone, and increase oxytocin, the hormone of trust and bonding. People who own cats report lower blood pressure, reduced anxiety, and even decreased risk of heart attacks. These aren't just biological perks. They are the physiological echoes of a deeper, energetic phenomenon: emotional entrainment. Cayce believed cats help humans process emotions in a way that no human conversation can replicate. Through vibrational entrainment, a cat's stable and balanced energy field synchronizes with the chaotic emotional energy of a distressed person. The effect is almost musical, like tuning a dissonant instrument to a steady pitch. The longer the cat stays, the more the dissonance softens. The more the nervous system remembers its rhythm. He described the purring of a cat as a kind of energetic massage, not just for the body, but for the psyche. It vibrates into the places where grief congeals, where anger tightens, where fear loops endlessly. And in that vibration, those heavy energies begin to disperse. The burden doesn't vanish, but it moves, it shifts, and healing begins. For those who have difficulty expressing their emotions, who bury pain, who hide sorrow, who pretend to be fine when they are unraveling, cats are especially powerful. They ask for nothing. They offer no advice. They do not intrude. They simply are. Their presence is their medicine. Their patience is their offering. Cayce emphasized that this non-intrusive form of healing is vital for people whose emotional wounds involve betrayal or breaches of trust. When human touch feels unsafe, a cat's quiet presence can reteach the nervous system what safety feels like. When words fail, a gentle nudge of a head or a slow blink from across the room can be the first signal that connection is still possible, that comfort still exists. He spoke of cats as emotional alchemists. Their energy doesn't just soothe, it transforms. It takes the density of grief, of fear, of shame, and softens it into something the heart can hold, something the body can release. Even in dreams, cats continue this work. Cayce described how a cat sleeping near you at night helps stabilize your energy body as you move through the dream state. This stability allows for more coherent, meaningful dreams. Many people report that they dream more vividly or receive clearer guidance when their cat sleeps nearby. That's no accident. It is the cat continuing its guardianship into the astral realm, and perhaps most moving of all is this: Cayce believed that sometimes a cat doesn't just help us with our pain, it helps carry it. In certain soul agreements, he said, the animal chooses to absorb and transmute specific emotional energies that the human is not yet ready to face. This sacrifice is never spoken, but it is real, and it is sacred. So the next time your cat sits quietly beside you during a difficult night, the next time it seeks you out when no one else knows you're hurting, know this: it isn't just instinct. It's a contract, a promise, a healing remembered from lifetimes past. There are moments with cats that defy logic. A sudden stare into empty space. A low growl when nothing seems amiss. A bolt of stillness in the middle of play, as if something invisible has entered the room. To most, these are oddities, but to Edgar Cayce, they were signs, markers of presence, signals that the veil between this world and the next had momentarily thinned and your cat had noticed. Cayce believed cats live in a liminal state, walking not solely in the physical world, but also in realms beyond it. Unlike humans, whose awareness is largely tethered to the material, cats maintain conscious access to both the physical and spiritual planes. In reading 57493, Cayce stated plainly, the cat maintains awareness of both realities simultaneously. They are not visitors to the unseen. They are residents. This dual existence explains much of their mystique, their sudden reactions, their tendency to appear just as your thoughts shift into prayer or longing, the way they sit, silent and alert, as though listening to something just beyond your hearing. According to Cayce, they are listening not to sounds, but to energies, movements, thought forms, entities. They are, in essence, spiritual intermediaries. Many cat owners have witnessed it, their feline companion following something with its eyes that no one else can see, staring at a corner for minutes on end, becoming inexplicably agitated or unusually affectionate in a room that moments before felt empty. Cayce urged us not to dismiss these moments. He believed they were direct responses to the arrival of spiritual guides, or the activation of unseen forces at work in our lives. In reading 3871, he explained, the sudden alertness of a cat to seemingly nothing is often their response to the arrival of a guide or the activation of a spiritual influence meant to assist the human companion. The room may seem still, but your energy field is shifting and your cat, ever vigilant, is already responding. These aren't merely reactions to the invisible. They are messages. Cayce went further. He believed that cats sometimes serve as vehicles for spiritual energies. That through the cat's energy field, higher frequencies too subtle for direct human perception can be stepped down and made more tangible. A cat might carry the vibration of a guide. It might convey an energetic message that otherwise could not reach you. It might walk into your life not only as a companion, but as a bridge. This conduit role explains the phenomenon many have described after being chosen by a cat. Vivid dreams, sudden insights, emotional breakthroughs, or uncanny synchronicities. These are not side effects. They are evidence. The cat's presence has stabilized your energy field enough for spirit to enter. Cayce called this the creation of a resonant field, a sacred space in which human and feline energy harmonize to allow spiritual transmission. It is within this field that intuition sharpens, clarity rises, and transformation begins. And it all starts with the gaze of a cat, the slow blink, the stillness, the quiet, unwavering presence. For those awakening psychically, those beginning to sense more, feel more, know more, cats are often drawn in. Cayce explained that cats help stabilize developing psychic abilities, preventing the overwhelm and confusion that can accompany sudden spiritual opening. Many people who report an increase in intuition or energy sensitivity recall that a cat appeared just before their awakening began. This is no accident. It is a guided alignment, and the influence of cats doesn't end with the waking world. Cayce spoke of their role during sleep as well. When we dream, our consciousness drifts into non-physical dimensions, but those journeys can be chaotic if our energy body is unsteady. Cats, when sleeping nearby, anchor and guard. They serve as spiritual midwives, helping us pass safely into dream realms and return with clarity. It's no wonder, then, that so many people feel protected with a cat beside them, that so many report heightened awareness, unexpected peace, or sudden knowing in the presence of their feline companion. These are not mere coincidences. They are confirmations that the cat in your life is not simply here for affection or company. It is here on mission, as a watcher, as a listener, as a vessel for what you are meant to feel, know, and remember. And when it sits and stares at what you cannot see, don't be so quick to wave it away, because perhaps, in that stillness, a message is being delivered, one meant just for you. Before your eyes ever met, before your paths ever crossed in this lifetime, Cayce believed your souls already knew each other. He called it a soul contract, an agreement made in the timeless, luminous space between incarnations. There, beyond the reach of memory but not beyond truth, souls meet. They make promises. They assign roles. They agree to walk beside one another through the wilderness of the human journey. And sometimes, those agreements are made not just between people, but between human and animal. In reading 41281, Cayce offered a stunning revelation. Souls create agreements with other souls, human and animal alike, to serve as catalysts, companions, teachers, and healers for each other at appointed times. These are not contracts of convenience. They are contracts of evolution. Your cat didn't come to you by chance. It came by vow. The moment it appeared on the street, in a shelter, through a friend, or outside your door wasn't random. It was synchronized. A magnetic pull between soul signatures, activated at the exact moment it was meant to be. And when your eyes met, something happened. Not just affection, not just curiosity. A knowing, an inner stillness, a silent voice saying, "There you are." Many who claim they never liked cats are often the ones most profoundly changed by a feline's presence. That's because soul contracts don't honor personality, they honor purpose. A man who had once disliked cats found himself inexplicably drawn to a stray he saw one morning on his way to work. He took it home, against all logic. That cat became his shadow, his confidant. When he later consulted Cayce, he learned that 3 lifetimes ago, this same soul, then in feline form, had saved him from death in a forest. The contract was not new, it was being fulfilled. These agreements often go deeper than emotional companionship. Cayce revealed that some cats incarnate specifically to help their human counterpart complete unfinished spiritual work. They may carry familiar energetic patterns from previous lives. Their behaviors, their gaze, their simple presence may trigger memories, insights, or emotional releases long buried. They become keys unlocking doors within the psyche that no therapist or teacher could reach, and the effects unfold slowly, purposefully. You might not understand at first why you feel safer when your cat is near, why decisions seem easier to make, why your dreams become more vivid. But your soul does. It recognizes the influence. It responds. Sometimes, these contracts involve sacrifice. Cayce described how a cat may choose to absorb a portion of a human's karmic burden energies too dense, too painful, too complex for the person to face directly. The cat takes it on, processes it through its own being, transforming what would have overwhelmed its human companion. This may explain why some cats develop sudden, mysterious illnesses that mirror their owner's psychological or spiritual struggles. They are not suffering for us. They are working with us. This is sacred work, silent, unseen, but real. You may feel it during the quiet hours of the night, when your cat curls beside you and everything inside you finally exhales. You may feel it during hard days, when just the warmth of their body against yours reminds you that you are not alone. Or you may feel it in a single look, the kind of look that strips away pretense, touches the soul directly, and says, "I remember who you are." Because they do. They always do. Cayce spoke of cats who come back again and again, across lifetimes, to walk beside the same soul. These beings don't just enter our homes, they enter our story. And sometimes they return because the story isn't finished, because there is more to teach, more to heal, more to feel. For some, the cat is the bridge to rediscovering spiritual purpose. For others, it is the guardian that holds space while the storm rages. And for many, it is simply love pure, anchoring, unconditional. The moment you are chosen, a quiet current begins to flow between you, a resonance, a memory, a mission. You may not always understand why you feel so deeply connected, why the loss of a cat hurts in ways few people can comprehend, why their presence seems to rearrange your inner world. But know this: you were not just adopted by a cat. You were remembered. You were returned to. You were loved long before you knew it.